old character actor who had become this incredible television producer who had great success with Danny Thomas and Van Dyke and the Andy Griffith Show. And for a moment, he was like the comedy producer.
Ron Howard is known as the nicest man in Hollywood. He has won 2 Academy Awards, made billions at the box office, and has had a 6-decade career without burning any bridges. Actors want to work with him so much that they sometimes take pay cuts to be on his set. Cillian Murphy even said he would go through anything for Ron Howard. So when Howard spoke about one of his biggest hits and said there was one person who made his set difficult, everyone wanted to know who it was. He said he had to treat this person differently from others and that it was often unpleasant. The surprising part is that the man who caused issues was not a spoiled star throwing tantrums. He did not demand a private jet or refuse to work with co-stars. Instead, he was a high school dropout, a Marine, a blacksmith, a cowboy, and a bodyguard for one of America's most secretive billionaires. This man was Wilford Brimley. By the end of this story, you will see why the most challenging actor Ron Howard directed was also one of the best things for his most loved film. Here are 7 things about Wilford Brimley that explain everything. He was never supposed to be an actor, and he acted like it. To understand why Wilford Brimley was so challenging to direct, it's important to consider his background, one that was far removed from Hollywood. Born in Salt Lake City, Utah, Brimley's early years were not spent in the limelight of the film industry. He was not raised on movie sets or in drama classes. There were no stage mothers, no headshots, and no auditions before he could even drive. After serving in the U.S. Marine Corps and taking on various odd jobs in the 1950s, Brimley began his film career as an extra and stuntman in Western films during the late 1960s. Think about the implications of that. This man served his country, worked as a blacksmith, and wrangled horses for a living. He ultimately stumbled into the film industry almost by accident when he took on roles as a Western extra. He even worked as a bodyguard for the businessman Howard Hughes, in addition to being a ranch hand and blacksmith. Hollywood did not shape Wilford Brimley. Life did. Brimley had no formal acting training, and his first encounter with live theater was through a group at the Los Angeles Actors Theater. Notably, it was his close friend Robert Duvall who encouraged him to pursue significant acting roles. Without that encouragement, Brimley might have spent his entire life shoeing horses, remaining largely unknown outside of Utah. This background is crucial to understanding how he interacted with directors such as Ron Howard. Brimley approached film sets differently from trained actors. He was unconcerned with marks, blocking, or the choreography of scripted scenes. His focus was on truth and authenticity in the moment. Consequently, when a director instructed him to deliver lines in a specific manner, stand in a certain spot, or hit an emotional note on cue, Wilford Brimley, a Marine, a ranch hand, and a man who had experienced real life, sometimes looked that director straight in the eye and said, "No." This was not about having a tantrum. It was about a fundamentally different perspective on acting. He made Ron Howard's Cocoon set sometimes unpleasant. In 1985, Ron Howard took over the directing of a film that had already caused significant challenges for another director. Originally, Robert Zemeckis had been hired for the project and spent a year in development. However, when Fox executives previewed Romancing the Stone before its 1984 release, they disliked it. Coupled with Zemeckis' previous 2 directorial efforts being commercial failures, this led to his dismissal as the director of Cocoon. Ron Howard was then brought in to replace him. So Howard stepped into a high-pressure situation. This was further complicated by his meeting with Wilford Brimley. Despite being cast as a senior citizen, Brimley was only 49 at the time and turned 50 during filming. He was around 26 years younger than the other actors portraying elderly characters. To appear the part, Brimley bleached his hair and mustache to turn them gray and had wrinkles and liver spots drawn on his face. Thus, not only was he the youngest among a cast of esteemed elder actors, but he was also the most temperamental. In a 2023 interview with the Harvard Business Review, Howard candidly described the dynamic on set, admitting that Brimley could be tough on him. He said, "I had to deal with him very differently than I dealt with anybody else," recalling that their interactions were sometimes unpleasant. This admission is striking, coming from Howard, known for his warm, collaborative reputation. Actors have claimed they would endure physical hardships to work with him, yet one 50-year-old man with a walrus mustache made him struggle. Howard further explained that it became his responsibility to navigate the situation and ensure that Brimley did not create a toxic environment that would hinder the other cast members' ability to thrive. The word toxic was indeed used by Howard himself when referring to Brimley on the set of Cocoon. Let that thought resonate. The clash of styles was epic, Brimley versus everyone else. To truly appreciate the tension on the set of Cocoon, it's important to understand that Wilford Brimley wasn't just clashing with director Ron Howard. He was, in a sense, opposed to the entire philosophy of classical Hollywood filmmaking that the rest of the cast represented. Howard described the ensemble. Wilford Brimley was totally improvisational. He was younger, with a more independent spirit, tone, and sensibility. He wanted to be present in the moment. Donna Meche, on the other hand, was an old-school Hollywood actor. Tell me my lines, show me my mark, and I will deliver what the script suggests. The other two cast members were somewhere in between. Donna Meche, an Oscar winner and seasoned actor who had been in the industry since the 1930s, struggled to match Brimley's wild, improvisation-driven energy. Howard noted, Don could not keep up with Wilford's improvisational vibe. During rehearsals, he tightened up because he didn't know how to adapt. Here you have a cast that included Hume Cronin, Jessica Tandy, Jack Gilford, and Donna Meche, some of the most technically accomplished actors of the 20th century, while Brimley was effectively disrupting their rhythm every time the cameras rolled. Yet this disruption created something electric on screen. Brimley's naturalism, unpredictability, and raw humanity infused the film with a texture that scripted precision could never replicate. Howard recognized this tension, even when it drove him crazy. He was navigating the difficult balance between what makes a film set functional and what makes a film transcendent. Brimley thrived entirely in the latter category, while Howard had to find a way to accommodate both styles. The fishing scene, when Brimley was right and Howard knew it. The most remarkable aspect of the Brimley-Howard conflict is not the conflict itself, but rather the beauty that emerged from it. In the film Cocoon, there is a poignant scene in which Ben Luckett, played by Wilford Brimley, is fishing with his young grandson. In this moment, Ben faces an extraordinary choice: the opportunity to leave Earth forever with aliens and live in immortality. He must tell his grandson that he is leaving for good and will not be returning. This scene stands out as one of the most emotionally devastating moments in 1980s cinema. Interestingly, this scene almost didn't unfold in the way we know it today. Following Brimley's death in 2020, director Ron Howard shared on Twitter that he owed the effectiveness of the Cocoon scene to Brimley's insistence on improvisation. Howard wrote, "We didn't always see eye to eye, but I owe this Cocoon scene to Wilford, who asked me to discard the script and allow him to improvise while fishing with the boy. I agreed and shot a few 3-camera setups, and he was brilliant and honest in every take." When a Twitter user inquired about what he meant by not always seeing eye to eye, Howard clarified, "Wilford said the script was good, but the scene could be better. He was right. He was a very inventive and thoughtful actor. His influence on the movie was wonderful." Read that again. He was right. Ron Howard, the director, the one with Final Cut, whose name was attached to the film, publicly acknowledged Wilford Brimley for enhancing one of the most iconic scenes in the movie, making it better than what the script could have achieved on its own. This highlights the contradiction at the core of Brimley's challenging reputation. He wasn't difficult for the sake of being difficult. He was challenging because he consistently fought for the truth of a scene. Often, if not always, he was right. The Marine, the Hughes bodyguard, the man who had nothing to prove. Many difficult actors are challenging because of their egos, believing that fame makes them more important than the work itself. However, Wilford Brimley was difficult for precisely the opposite reason. After high school, he enlisted in the U.S. Marine Corps, serving from 1953 to 1956 during the Korean War. His experiences in remote locations such as the Aleutian Islands would later give his performances a unique authenticity that casting directors could not replicate. After completing his service, he didn't actively pursue a career in Hollywood. Before transitioning to stunt work and acting, Brimley worked as a bodyguard for aviator-turned-recluse Howard Hughes. He also worked as a ranch hand, wrangler, and blacksmith. In 1979, Brimley told the Los Angeles Times that his highest earnings as an actor in a year were just $20,000. For Brimley, Hollywood wasn't the pinnacle of success. It was merely a suggestion from his friend Robert Duvall to try his luck there. He had no reverence for the industry, no concern for its politics, and no patience for doing things a certain way just because that was the tradition. As a former Marine, stuntman, and all-around tough guy, Brimley was not known for being easygoing with any of his directors, and Howard was no exception. This attitude made him both genuinely challenging and irreplaceable. The confidence of a man who has accomplished real things in the real world cannot be manufactured. It radiates from the screen. Every director who worked with him sensed this authenticity. Howard felt it especially keenly because he was relatively young, and Cocoon was still early in his directing career. He was working with a man who refused to accept a mediocre take or to believe that a better version of a scene wasn't possible, simply because the schedule dictated moving forward. The mooning, the harmonica, the man behind the mustache. The story about Ron Howard despising him overlooks an important fact. Wilford Brimley was very entertaining. In a 1988 interview with the Chicago Tribune, Steve Guttenberg, who starred with Brimley in the Cocoon movies, shared that Brimley often mooned people on set. The biggest fun I had on the Cocoon shoot came when Wilford Brimley would moon the audience or the camera, Guttenberg said. He had a running contest with Robert Duvall to see who could moon the most people at one time. Brimley was not a moody, difficult actor. He played harmonica and sang on set. He enjoyed a prank war with one of Hollywood's most respected actors. Brimley loved the outdoors and liked fishing and hunting in his spare time. He had a unique voice that was often imitated in pop culture. He was also a skilled musician who entertained his co-stars with his harmonica playing. The tension between Brimley and Howard was not about personal dislike. It was a difference in working style. Howard was a trained director who planned carefully, while Brimley was a self-taught actor who trusted his instincts. Off camera, Brimley was like the characters he played, tough on the outside but warm inside and always true to himself. This mix of being both a professional challenge and someone easy to like made working with Brimley difficult for Howard. He couldn't ignore him or silence him. He had to engage with him in each scene, and sometimes Brimley came out on top. What Ron Howard said, "When Brimley died tells you everything." On August 1st, 2020, Wilford Brimley passed away at the age of 85 in a hospital in St. George, Utah. Following his death, Ron Howard, who had previously described his sets as unpleasant and had worked to ensure that Brimley didn't make things too toxic, took the time to write publicly about him. This wasn't done grudgingly or diplomatically. It was done genuinely. Howard recalled, "We didn't always see eye to eye, but I owe this Cocoon scene to Wilford, who asked me to throw out the script and let him improvise while fishing with the boy. I agreed and shot a few 3-camera setups, and he was brilliant and honest in every take." Those words, brilliant and honest, are what Ron Howard chose to summarize Brimley's contributions at the end of his life. He didn't focus on the difficulties or unpleasantness. Instead, he highlighted the brilliance and honesty that Brimley brought to their work together. Howard made it clear that Brimley's talent elevated the tone of the film. As a great improvisational actor, he also brought a naturalism and honesty to Cocoon. "I recognized that it was tricky, but exactly what that sci-fi serio-comic movie needed." This presents the full picture. Yes, Ron Howard found Wilford Brimley challenging, sometimes unpleasant, occasionally toxic, and always demanding. However, Howard also acknowledged that Brimley, a Marine cowboy who stumbled into acting and fiercely fought for the authenticity of every scene, elevated the film. He brought it a soul that a more compliant actor might never have achieved. The fishing scene, in which a grandfather tells his grandson he's leaving for the stars, has moved audiences to tears for 40 years. That moment exists because Wilford Brimley examined the script, looked at Ron Howard, and asserted, "I can do better." He was right. Although Wilford Brimley never won an Oscar, never topped a box office chart with his name, and was never the biggest star in any room, he was undoubtedly one of the most genuine people to ever stand before a camera. In an industry built on illusion, that kind of authenticity is extremely rare. Ron Howard didn't despise Wilford Brimley. He was challenged and occasionally frustrated by him. Brimley pushed Howard to become a better director than the schedule allowed. Ultimately, Cocoon, with its gentle wisdom, earned emotion, and walrus-mustached heart, benefited from Brimley's contributions. If you enjoyed this video, hit subscribe and let me know in the comments which scene in a classic movie you think was saved by an actor going off script.